first seek the kingdom. But I think for so long, we don't know, what is the kingdom? Who feels like they have a really great grasp on what the kingdom of God is, so they know how to seek after it? We all have parts and pieces, which is why this stuff is so important, right? To not be afraid of not having the whole picture and talk to each other. Figure it out together as a family, as a body. We all have a part. None of us have the whole. Even the people who speak in front of thousands of people, they don't have a whole, they have a part. And God designed that way. Or we would think we have it all. So I'm excited. I'm excited for what he's doing in each of us individually, what he's doing with us as a family, what he's doing on a corporate level. God's moving. Whether or not we see it or we feel it, he's moving. And we can choose to turn into him, or we can choose to still do the things we've been doing it, the way we've been doing it. But can we practice inviting him in to all the places we don't have the answers, all the places we don't know what to do? Can we be okay with not having the answers? Be okay with not seeing the full picture? Can we take one step at a time with him? Be present with him the way he's present with us. It's easier to say than it is to do. But if we're moving that direction, if we're moving towards understanding, something that I was never really good at, Chris and I have had lots of conversations about listening for understanding. Not just to get an answer to be able to move on. So I can do the right thing. But if we actually understand his heart, understand why he does the things that he does, understand why he hasn't poured out the glory yet. It's easy for us to get offended with him when we don't understand his heart. Why hasn't he done this miracle for me yet? Why hasn't he given me this breakthrough at my job yet? Why am I still struggling with my finances? Why am I still dealing with this health issue? Why? It's easy if we don't know his heart or trust his heart to get caught up in fear and doubt or bitterness and I think most of you guys you've already experienced it and worked through it and overcome it in so many ways that I'm just repeating old news. But there's finer degrees of it. Jeremy was working on this door that he's finishing for the studio, and he's got this last bit of sandpaper that he was using that doesn't even feel like sandpaper. It's such a fine grit, but it definitely made a difference. God is doing some finishing touches. We don't have to feel bad about where we're at because he's just still doing his process. Let's let him fine-tune us even a little bit further. We are going to be ready. We are going to see the revival come, and it's going to be sustainable. Because we're people that want him to have all the glory. We're a people that want him to be seen for who he really is. We're people who want the fullness of God. That want to let every bit of light into any dark crevice. Because why would we want that anyways? This room is filled with people that have braved. Chris was saying how brave I am. I've heard lots of stories where people have had to be just as brave or more brave than I have in overcoming my fears and my dark places. Letting God into those dark places is super scary. But most anybody I've talked to here has done that on multiple accounts. We're just letting him into the even smaller places. Those really little hidden places, like coffee being an idol. Totally socially acceptable. But in the kingdom of God, anything being an idol. Anything that means I'm leaning on something other than him. No shame, no condemnation. But hey, if we're after all of him, are we willing to let him point out those little places? So no matter what we're doing, when we're running in the fullness of freedom, we're completely unashamed. We're looking at our daddy's face completely unashamed because we know him, we know his love for us, we know that we just have to be us. Yeah? Gosh, it's always so quiet in here. Yeah. Just need to be us. I know. You were just saying that this morning, and I smiled because I'm like, that's exactly what he's showing me, Noreen. Don't worry about everything else. Just be you and let him be him. It'll all work out. Hallelujah. Yay! It's true. All right.
All right, so a couple things that was hitting me. I just want to add one thing. When we were talking about the revolution of love, and she was talking about, connecting with God, with each other, with yourself, right? Notice how close that relates to love the Lord your God, right? As your neighbor as yourself, right? So these three are the fundamentals of what the call is about Embyrs. It's a revolution of love. That's the whole point. All the other stuff is secondary. Because if we get all the other stuff and start working through this other stuff, if we got enough love, it covers over a multitude of stupid. It does. And yes, that's Chris Drake's version. Yeah. In the year 2094. Anyway, it's important to have love. It's important that that's first. It's important that that's the most important, that that's the last thing that remains. There's a life verse. I've got it tattooed on my neck, and it's 1 Corinthians 13:13. But these three remain: faith, hope, and love. But the greatest of these is love. We get love first. I'm telling you guys, faith and hope come a heck of a lot easier when that one's in place. 2, even if we're going after faith and hope and things are really happening and signs, miracles, and wonders, and I mean, you're just walking in belief. Phenomenal. It's amazing. But I'll tell you what, you don't have love, you're resounding gong, all that kind of stuff, right? It's just pointless.